Hey, beautiful shining stars. So, today we're going to talk about 2023 and what it has represented. So, mainly when I connected with the energy of 2023, I knew that we were supposed to go through a lot of massive changes. But I asked Spirit, and I feel like maybe Spirit wasn't going to tell us in the beginning because they wanted, it's almost like we were being tested in this vibrational energy. And I, for once, like I was, like I always believed, like that's not real. Like, we don't get tested. But since this is like, since our lives are like lessons, and we do have to karmically balance ourselves, and I feel like this year is almost like a repetitive energy of the patterns in our lives, um, to realize what we needed to work upon, what changes we needed to make, what does not serve us, so we could expand, grow, forgive, release, start new ventures, new hobbies or new careers, engage with new partners, release old partners, or rekindle with your partner. Start maybe a new chapter in the love life with your partner. So there's just a lot of massive changes that are occurring in our lives in 2023. And Spirit says that depending on how you are reacting to this energy will be how 2024 starts to unravel for you. Um, so it's like, look at yourself where you are today, look at everything that you've gone through, and it's like, how do we figure this out? Because if we don't make the changes, if we stay kind of like almost in fear, a lot of us like fear that we can't do this, we can't do that, because we're going to, and I know because I'm going through something similar, we're going to let somebody down, or we feel responsible, like this person is our responsibility, or whatever the scenario that you're are encountering. And one of the things that I have been sharing in my life book class with my clients, which has class has now ended, was that we are responsible for ourselves. If we choose to help others, that is our choice, but not our responsibility. And I feel like in the different generations, I feel like for example, in the a lot of the baby boomers, and I'm sorry for whoever hears this, but at least the cultures like that I personally, this could be totally my opinion, but I've seen is the parents always thought that the kids were supposed to like look after them, take care of them, do everything for them. And then if you go into the like millennials and the Z's, you notice that they're more like, my parents have to look out for me, my parents have to do everything for me. So it went from kids doing everything for the parents to the parents doing everything for the kids. And I feel like this happened because since our parents, like for example, for the Generation X, we're the ones that did this to the millennials and the Ys, because we felt so responsible. Our parents put so much responsibility on us. We kind of like taught ourselves. We were our own parents. We were our own adults because our parents were still trying to figure stuff out. So then we kind of overshadowed our children. Like and not all, because some parents weren't able to do that for their kids, but you notice it a lot. And I feel like in many ways that's why millennials are so different. I'm not criticizing them, but they don't want to work super hard. They want to like get things done and co-create and whatever. And the Ys are like sometimes maybe a little stuck and thinking about what are their purpose and stuff like that. Maybe confusion. You're hearing a lot of confusion, especially the new generations that are being born with everything going on in the world. There's a lot of confusion. So what's happening? What does all of this have to do with 2023? Well, 2023 is about karmic balance. So we came here as this divine self, right? And it doesn't, we're meant to embrace our divine self. We're meant to take who we are and be the very best that we can be, love ourselves for who we are, um, and stop allowing others to judge us, to tell us that we're wrong. Right now, I think it's super funny when I hear all this dogmatic energy religions. Like, they come to my channel all the time and they criticize me and they criticize my work, and A lot of them tell me I'm going to go to hell, and and I'm thinking, in the beginning, I remember, how many times I would shut my channel because I'm like, oh my God, or they would have you rethinking things. Oh my God, what if I'm doing something wrong? But then I thought to myself, what's the difference between some believers' gods and my God? Well, my God is an all loving God, non-judgmental. I don't go into anybody's page and be like, you're gonna go to hell, or you're gonna die, or what you're saying is wrong. So it this energy that we're going through in 2023 is this karmic balance of each and every one of us. So those that are continuing to judge others and point fingers and all that, is you're only mirroring that energy to yourself, meaning that you're going to bring all that vibration back to yourself. So depending on how we react, uh, take action on what is going on in our lives right now, it is how we are making the waves for tomorrow. So, and I know it's tough because I'm telling you this also from our personal situation. For those of you that are on my Patreon and stuff like that, about everything that I'm, going through and working on and whatever. And I'm having my own karmic balance. I'm seeing a lot of my own repetitive patterns in my life. And it's just like looking at all of these vibrations, looking at all of these energies, making the changes that you need to make, and not allowing other people to bear their what is it called, their mistakes in our lives, um because maybe they didn't think about the plan for the future, and then they want to just put everything on you, so that's kind of something that I'm going through. Or they didn't plan for a situation, and then they're trying to put that on you. Or vice versa, you didn't plan for a situation and you're trying to put it on somebody else, or you're trying to say that this person's not helping you or that person's not doing stuff for you. The truth is, we're responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for ourselves. It is up to you to do the things that you need to do in order to live the life that you desire to live. So where does this go? Enough blabber blabber. So as you're going through this karmic balance, the eclipses that we're going through during the new moon, which is the 14th, you have a portal shift on 1010, and then you have the full moon at the closing of the month, and you have Samhain on the 31st, which is All Hallows Eve. There's a lot of energy in the month of October. I will have rituals that I will post and I will email. So if you are in my Etsy shop and you subscribed to my email list, you will get those emails. If you didn't subscribe to my email list in my Etsy shop, you will not get the emails. You have to go into Etsy, my Etsy, and subscribe to the email list. If you are on my webpage, I'm going to start sending also to my subscribers for my webpage. So if you can't figure out the Etsy, just go to my webpage and do that. So how do we make these shifts and changes in our lives? Like, how do we live the lives that we are meant to live without allowing other people to sabotage? Because that's what's happening right now. You are feeling overwhelmed because you have a lot of people around you that are going through these massive karmic balances, and they're freaking the fuck out. So then what are they doing? They're focusing on the ones that they know are earthly angels or are major givers. So when you're like this, like I'm like that you feel, I don't do that anymore, but I used to feel guilty for receiving, because that's how I was brought up at a very young age. It was always my responsibility to take care of my mother. It was my responsibility to take care of my younger brothers. So it was always me giving, and never me accepting, because I always had the sight to see. My parents didn't make a lot of money. I saw my dad working his ass off. I saw my mom like struggling sometimes to buy food. And, so I would never ask for anything. It was like, it wasn't until I became a teenager that I started to want things, which I would work for them. I got a job when I was 13 years old. I think it's crazy. Nowadays, kids don't start working until they're like 18, and I was working since I was 13. I remember that I lied because I think the youngest age to work at Burger King was 14, and I lied, and I got my first job at Burger King. Actually, before that, my first job was selling magazines. We were selling magazines and I was doing pretty good. So it's like you are the responsible person to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I've always saw it that way. If I want to get something, I go and get it. But then we have like parents or siblings or even children that feel that we need to do everything for them. And it's one thing that you love your child, is one thing that you love your parent, and you want to lend a hand. That is not, I'm not criticizing that. I'm not saying don't do that, because that's, you know, um, but when is it a balance of you loving your child, they're going through a hard path, and you're able to take care of them, or when they're just, kind of like fanning themselves, not doing anything to take care of themselves, and you're the ones doing everything. Same things for parents. Parents, I've seen it over and over and over. I've seen it personally where the parents think or feel, or whatever the case scenario is, that especially in the Hispanic culture, um, or the immigrants, that they feel that because they left their country and they came over here, they like to repeat. And I think it's funny because George Lopez talks about this all the time, how the parent would always be like, you gotta go to school, you gotta do this because I did this for you, I brought you here, or whatever the case scenario. So you feel this sense of responsibility that you just have to take care of your parent. And again, it's like one thing when they're like become elderly and you're taking care of them because they can no longer take care of themselves. But it's another thing when you don't like live your life because you're living to take care of your parent. I'm sorry, I have like a something here and it keeps driving me crazy. I saw this in my godmother. I've seen this in clients. I'm kind of going through a certain scenario now that I'm kind of like figuring out like when is it like no, you know? So it's like you have to, this year is all about balance. It's all about looking at everything in your life. And again, this is your spouses, your partners, your friends. Like, think about your friends. I noticed for me, it was really hard for me to have friends because since they knew that I could do what I could do, a lot of the times they would just use me for that. They would just hang out with me because they were wanting to know about their life, and they figured, oh, Daisy is going to always tap into the spiritual world and she's always going to tell me this, and I could just always go to Daisy. So it was very hard to find like legitimate friends. So I have very small, and usually my really close circle were very spiritual. They know their own psychic stuff. So I know they're not here just to absorb my energy. It's more like a give and receive. So it's quite beautiful. Like my soul brother that I always talk about. Um, my cat's at the door meowing. Oh, you could come in, kitty. You know how to open the door. She does it on purpose. She knows how to open doors and stuff, but she wants me to get up and open the door for her. And then she'll just stand there and meow. So anywho, so how do you map this all out? So I have an exercise for you. I'm doing a shadow class. I wasn't going to do any more classes until December 31st, which I'm doing the language of money. So for those of you that want to manifest wealth, they want to change your prosperity and abundance, the language of money is a great class to take. And I have payment plans for those of you that can't, afford the whole amount in one sitting. Those my Patreons and my life book class get it for a specific discounted price, and my on-call altars, you get it for free because you already pay for all those services. So anywho, the point of doing this year is great to do shadow work because you get to tap into all. Look at this. I think it's the glasses that are hurting my ears. I'm just a wreck. So by doing all of this energy of cleansing and clearing and unblocking, you are tapping into all of the things that have not served you, from your childhood to your adolescence to your now radiant moment. And like I said, our lives are full of repetitive patterns. And if we don't face them head on and make peace for them with them and forgive and release, these patterns are going to continue to repeat themselves in your entire life. Um, and let me tell you, they will, because my mother in law, who is now almost 90, has the same pattern repeating, and she's repeating it right now in a more hardcore way because now she has Alzheimer's and dementia, and she cannot decipher reality from all of the negative patterns in her mind. So, anywho, focus on yourself, okay? Because this is the energy of 2023 is about the changes that you need to make, and in order to make these changes, you have to ask yourself where you are. Are you happy? Do you like your job? Are you living your purpose? Are you doing the things that you want to do? If something is not serving you, then you'll have to really look at it and say, okay, well, how do I fix this? Or how do I change this? Or how do I decide I'm not going to do this? I'm going to do something else. So it's really, really important. And this is only going to get even more intense as the year comes to its closing. Now, if you're in your spiritual, you know that October is like the closing of the year. This is the witches season. This is when the witches celebrate their new year. This is where we start. So November and December, we already feel that we are in the next year's energy. The Westerners, you have New Year's in Asia. I think they celebrate in February. So everybody has their own ideals. Wherever you are focusing on 2023, you have to make peace with the things in your life because you are karmically being tested. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you're going through what you're going through, instead of like getting mad at spirit or getting mad at God or whoever it is that you believe, that is a karmic test. It's almost like your faiths are being tested, your beliefs are being tested. So you cannot say, I don't believe in this, and then go back tomorrow. I mean, you can, but there's a ripple effect. It's like when I tell my clients, because I do ritual work for them, and then they will call me every day. It hasn't manifested, it hasn't manifested, it hasn't manifested. Well, if you don't allow it to manifest, you are simply standing in the way. You cannot sit down and be like, it hasn't happened, Daisy. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. You have to do it, intend, allow, focus on the next. What are you working on? You got to keep yourself busy. Life is about action, about creation. Every day it's a new adventure. You cannot sit around and wait for this one thing. There are so many branches to your life. Maybe start a new hobby. If your love life is in chaos and you're trying to figure it out, work on set your goals, set your intentions, set your desires. Maybe do a clearing and blocking, especially if it's an ex relationship. Release that energy. A lot of you guys are holding on to these exes and because you want them to come back because, oh my God, it's the best love of your life. And instead of letting it go and focusing on yourself, so if that energy is meant to enter your life again, it will, because everything is about, flow and that beautiful vibration. But if you're trying to force something into your life, it's never going to really have a happy ending. And then you're just going to keep working in the chaos. So then it's not love, it's possession. You're trying to possess someone to do what it is that you want to do. And that never ends well. So you have to decipher, when is it love and when is it possession. It's really, really important to look at all of these different vibrations and energies in your life. Like if you're with someone and they're selfish and they're not seeing you and they're not taking care of you and they're not meeting your needs, and you have these goals and intentions, and no matter how much you put them on the table, they always like give you the runaround or make excuses. That means that you and this person, you're not on the same track. Like you are wanting this and they're not meeting you halfway, because relationships are about compromise. It doesn't mean that they have to do everything you want, but there should be an in between. There should be a compromise, because relationships are partnerships. It's about, hey, I want to, let's per se, you want to buy a home and your partner is not ready. You're like, but this is, I'm ready for this. Like, when is it going to happen? And they say, well, let's try it in a year. And then you set that plan, and the year comes and your partner is still making excuses, then, something is like, those are signs, those are red flags that something is not working. So either you have to sit down with your partner and put the cards on the table and be like, listen, let's have this conversation. Where is this going to go? And see their insights. But if they keep giving you the runaround and you're like, well, I've been waiting, it's been months or years even, and things are not progressing, I no longer want to wait. So, and I know it's hard because, like, especially when you invested so much time and energy, but then you have to really ask yourself, do you want to put in another year or two or 10? I've heard of relationships that have been together for like a decade or more, and like they're like waiting and waiting and nothing is happening. So it's like, ask yourself the questions, be honest, because maybe they do need a little more time. I'm not saying just to be like, oh, you're not going to do this for me, then I'm leaving. No, there should be conversations and compromise, just like a job. If you're in a job and you've been waiting for a promotion for an X amount of time and that's not happening, well, maybe it's time either to start looking elsewhere or to expand, maybe research, maybe um, uh, go up to your next education. Like, I remember I used to, when my son was in school, I remember there was this teacher I used to absolutely look up to because, she started with her bachelor's, and then she got her PhD, and she went all the way up to, I think, her doctorate, and she's like, well, I love it because like it was my life goal to do this. And she went into teach science at like Cambridge, and like she would go to all these like high-end schools to teach because she was so good at researching and learning. And so it's like, do the things that you're passionate about, because life is supposed to be meant to live passionately. I love what I do, and I want to get to a place where I expand and I do more, but where I'm not overly saturated or overly working like really, really hard to meet my personal needs, and then, have all this responsibility for my clients. I don't want to have to do that. I want everything to be like very go with the flow type energy. I don't want anybody to hold me into account. And that's the reason why I keep pushing away from rituals, because I feel like my clients always like put so much pressure on me because, they want to see their rituals, and I get it because they really, they're looking for an outcome. And I the type of person that I like to take my time and give it a lot of energy and a lot of love. And sometimes people are very impatient, they don't understand that. So it's looking at your life and seeing what no longer fits and serves you, and then making the changes that you need to make in order to just, shift your reality. Like for me is doing more classes and courses and more content creation, so I get away from what is no longer really, really serving me. So, and as I continue to grow, I will do less and less than that. Like for instance, 2024, there's no more on calls. I only have one on call for 2024, and it's because she's very dear and sweet to me, and we've been together for a little while, and she absolutely loves my work, and she's very go with the flow. So that's why. So it's just kind of like, it's crazy to see how far we've come, the shifts and changes that we have co-created, you know. So this year, shadow work. And again, if you want to be part of the shadow work class that I'm going to be doing, it's going to be great because not only am I doing this class, but as I'm doing this class, I'm also creating a shadow work journal, which is really, really cool. And I'm doing the amazing 369 journal. I remember Gabriella asked me months and months ago what I thought about the 369, and I've been researching it, and Spirit gave me this beautiful epiphany, which also goes into the language of money class. So these are things that, if you want to continue to grow and expand, they're things that you want to be a part of. So thank you for watching me. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Share me on Pinterest and hit the thumbs on and the notification bell. That way you know every time I have a video. And I hope you found this video informative. And comment below, like, what pattern is repeating in your love life. In your life right now. Is it love? Is it career? What is it? Is it personal? Is it friends? What is it? What kind of pattern are you witnessing in 2023? Let's engage in beautiful conversation and share thoughts. Namaste.